My name is Bethany Cox, and I'm going to be answering a few questions in regards to you have the right to remain innocent.
Question 1. Mention 2 scenarios from the book about innocent people whose circumstances changed once they spoke with the police.
After reading this book, I was surprised to see how potentially negative speaking to the police can be. Throughout the book, James Duane gave numerous examples of cases in which people spoke to the police and because of that were found guilty of a crime that they did not commit. One such case was that of Ronald Cotton, who spent 10 years in prison for being found guilty of rape, which he did not commit. According to Duane, upon learning that the police were looking for him, Cotton took it upon himself to go in for questioning and be as open as possible because he was innocent and had nothing to hide. He told the police his whereabouts on the night of the crime and even gave them a list of several people he was with who could corroborate his story. However, simple human error caused him to confuse the dates in his story, so when the police contacted his friends, they denied having seen Cotton that evening. Because of this, Cotton was found guilty. If he had not spoken with the police at all, they would have had no solid reason to end up finding him guilty. The fact that he misspoke was interpreted as a lie rather than just simple mistake. Thus, if Cotton had not spoken to the police, he might not have been found guilty for something that he did not do. Another example would be the case of Earl Ruffin. Ruffin was also found guilty of rape and sentenced to life in prison, even though he was later found innocent. All of the information that he gave to the police was truth. When they asked him if he had ever been in the neighborhood in which the rape occurred, he had admitted that he previously had dated someone who lived there. The police used the fact that he had been there before to prove his guilt. Technically, whether or not he had ever been there before had no bearing on the case of rape. If he had stayed silent or stated that he would like a lawyer, he would not have openly revealed so much information and may not have been found guilty of doing something that he did not do.
Question 2. List all the reasons from the book why the author advises against speaking to the police.
There are numerous reasons that Duane states in regards to why no one should speak to the police. He writes that policemen are trained to lie in order to get the information that they need, thus saying that there is never just an innocent question asked or a simple conversation had. The only 2 questions that anyone should answer if asked by the police are, what is your name? And what are you doing here, right now? Duane also writes that police, like everyone else, are human and are prone to making mistakes. A slight change in tone or punctuation when answering a question can be all that is needed in order to cast suspicion on someone. This is why he recommends never talking to the police without a lawyer unless you are asked one of the 2 previously mentioned questions.
Question 3. What does he advise people to do if they are asked to speak to the police?
Duane advises several things if someone is asked to speak to the police. First, you must explicitly invoke your constitutional rights. This means that you need to ensure that your silence is not held against you. He writes that it is not a good idea to plead the Fifth Amendment because sometimes the police will view your silence as an admission of guilt. Instead, one should plead the Sixth Amendment, which is the right to an attorney. The second thing you must do is not tell a lie. Telling a lie can automatically make it seem like you are hiding something and can make you look guilty. It is better to say as little as possible until a lawyer is present, and then they can proceed to do the talking for you. Duane's final thing is to not plead the Fifth Amendment. Like I said earlier, sometimes the police can use your silence to their advantage, and to judge someone who refuses to speak oftentimes looks very guilty. It is wiser to state that you would like a lawyer rather than state that you do not want to speak or that you are pleading the Fifth. I personally agree with the author that it is not a good idea to openly speak to the police. I'm not against the police in any way, but from reading this book, it is clear that it can only take something small and seemingly insignificant to be found guilty. I don't really have much experience with talking to the police, aside from when I was in a car accident a couple of years ago, but I don't really think that's the same thing as the situations in which the author refers to in the book. But from this point forward, I will definitely be more hesitant and think first before being so quick to open up to the police about something. I know that we think being open and honest and sharing everything will prove our innocence, but according to this book, that is not always the case. Even though honesty is always the best policy, apparently when talking to the police, honesty can get you found guilty.